Hello guys, and welcome to the Ayaf Talk Series, a show where we have candid conversations with young, smart, dynamic, and motivated Africans who are committed to the cause of changing the continent's narrative, changing their communities, and above all else, leaving their footprint on the world. I am your host, Sam Okyere, and today I have the wonderful privilege of engaging with a very good friend of mine who has become a brother over the years. I'm excited to have this conversation with him and share with him what his dreams are, what motivates him, and what really drove him to start the African Youth Action Foundation. Welcome, Boris, and thank you.
Thank you, brother.
It's good to have you, man.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You know, I'm used to seeing you with the tie, and so today, not seeing you with a tie and seeing you with a turtleneck, it's like a different person altogether.
Well, it has been a whole struggle,
Right?
to do without my tie, but I managed to, compensate. But
right.
Yeah, I'm good.
I thank you, because I remember prior to us, having this conversation, I told you, look, make sure you don't wear a suit, because every time I see you in your suit, and you said, okay, I'm not going to wear a suit. And the last minute you called me and said, hey, look, I have to go back to the suit.
That's right. At about 10 p.m., I was trying to fix everything for tomorrow. And I told my wife, no, this is not going to be possible.
Right.
I can't do without a suit. But instead, as he recommended, I wouldn't put on a tie.
Right.
So let me just put something comfortable on. But at least I need to, still wear a suit and feel comfortable.
Obviously, when you wear a suit, people think about image, right? When they see somebody in a suit, they think, okay, this person is a professional, this person is serious, right? This person means business. Do you think there's a connection to that? Being as you are the president of, Ayaf, do you think it's important that you carry yourself that way, hence the choice of clothing?
Well, not just because I am the president of Ayaf. Mm-hmm. I do believe that image is important.
Right.
And I believe that dressing decently is important. And that tells people who you are. That announces you to the world, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you behave. All these things tell people who you are. Right. So I do believe that dressing well is important. Not necessarily a suit. I feel comfortable with suits. Right. Maybe because I've always been inspired by people who wear suits.
Right.
But being decent, it's what counts the most. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, obviously, you mentioned that without even realizing, subconsciously, you are probably inspired by people who wore suits and whatnot. Yeah. Now, I want to take it back a little bit, right? Before you came to Korea, what was your life like? Did you always want to be in a position of let's say running an organization or a position of leadership? Was that always something that you dreamt about, or you always thought about, or it just came naturally to you?
Well, I don't think, wanting leadership is something that I can put forth.
Right.
I feel like these are circumstantial happenings. Right. It comes to you naturally.
Of course.
It comes to you depending on the situation.
Right.
When there is a need, something needs to be done, somebody has to do it, you look around and you realize you're possibly that somebody, right?
But
so
growing up, right?
Yeah.
In a class, if something needed to be done, most people or most students will try to avoid that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how you say you look around and I think I should be the person to do that.
The funny thing is, I used to be part of those who wanted to avoid it.
Because that is a natural thing to do, right?
Yeah, that's the natural thing. And I used to be part of those who wanted to avoid it.
Right.
But funny enough, it always, got back to me.
Right.
And it's interesting you said it. I've never been head of a class during my whole time in school.
Right.
I've never been class president or class representative, nothing as such. But the funny thing is, all the class representatives will always come to me and ask, what should we do? How do we go about this? What do you think about this? And so I always have been part of those who wanted to avoid, but the thing always came back to me. But now, coming back to your question, people come from far, and if you want to know people, you got to know their stories.
Of course.
the story of somebody tells you exactly who the person is. What they say at that present moment, notwithstanding, you have to check their track record and where they actually come from. You know, I've been involved into social activities from my younger age. You know, from primary school, secondary school, and even university, graduate school, all through. I've always been part of those who look at situations. Yes, we want to avoid, but as I said, you look around and you feel like, hey, if I avoid this, then definitely no one would do it. And then you arm yourself with some courage, you call some friends, and you begin to, you know, prepare something to advance the cause of others. And that's what I've always been trying to do from primary school, secondary school, all the way to grad school, and then in my professional work, and up to now with Ayaf.
Okay. Now, obviously, you grew up in Gabon, right? I want people to be very clear on that. And I grew up in Ghana as well. And I know that sometimes in certain African households, right, you don't have that environment to, for example, think, right? Because you have to do a certain thing, and sometimes when you even dream, you know, sometimes your parents will say you're dreaming too big, or this is obviously impossible. I want to know if growing up in a type of environment kind of molds you to be maybe a visionary or to be a leader, because the truth is, when there's a problem, most people don't think, okay, we have to go to this guy, right? Or if you make yourself available, then people come to you. Right, so it means that they must have seen something in you that make them think, okay, if we're not able to talk to anybody, at least we can talk to Boris, right? So do you think there's something in your environment that even without you knowing made you this almost like character that people thought, well, if there's a problem, we need to, you know, address Boris and see what he thinks about it? Do you think there was that particular environment or incident that made that happen?
Maybe because at first I wasn't very noticeable. I had to develop things and tricks for people to notice me. But I'm kidding.
Is that full power?
Maybe. Get it out of the record. But look, yes, definitely your environment influences you somehow.